Welcome back, everybody. It's your host, Devin Cheese. Excuse me, let me get that right. Da Vinci's got a special guest today, Anthony Disney.
Today, I'm going to share with you a productivity hack that has the potential to change your life.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I like the Devin Cheese. I like that.
Thank you. I was just watching Doctor Strange 2 on Disney Plus. So I got all discombobulated with my name, and that's rare that I did that, but I appreciate that.
That's funny. I like it.
Anyways, tell us, everybody knows who I am. I mean, I do this weekly, but we want to know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Anthony Disney, obviously. I for a living, I'm an IT leader at a local bank. Sort of on the side hustle, the thing that I'm a bit more passionate about and am working to build up is a leadership coaching business. And there's several veins to that. I've started with YouTube. I'll back up a little bit. I built a YouTube channel centered around movies and television. I would have definitely been talking about Doctor Strange on that channel. And in about 6 months, I got monetized and was doing really well, was getting 20, 30,000 views per video. But man, it just wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't my passion. So kind of got lost for a little bit and did some soul searching and knew that, I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about helping people succeed and get better. So that's how I landed where I'm at. Started a new YouTube channel, only put a few videos up, and that's basically on the back burner right now. I'm not saying I'll never do YouTube again, but I'm pretty heavily into learning the craft of writing. And so I'm on Twitter. Twitter is where I've been doing a lot of my writing. I think I'm toning down the LinkedIn a little bit, and I'm going pretty hard, pretty all in on Twitter. They've got some really cool new features coming out soon with I don't know. Are you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter.
Okay. So there's this meta that's the thread meta. It's like there's threads everywhere. Everybody's writing Twitter threads. Well, there's this new thing coming called Notes, and it basically just looks like a blog. People will be writing blog posts essentially.
That'll be dope because people are already kind of technically already doing that with the threads. Because you'll see like one, and then they'll type it out, then they'll get in their thread, and two, and then so the blog, just to essentially just have a blog, that would be pretty dope.
Yeah, and it allows you to like put images and GIFs and all these things throughout your blog post. It's going to be a lot more user friendly, I think. So really, really like inundating myself with as much knowledge as I can on writing. And so I don't know if you or people watching are familiar with marketing funnels, but essentially Twitter or YouTube or whatever would be top of funnel. It's how people become aware of who I even am. And then using those platforms, I can get them hopefully they buy into what I'm talking about. They believe that I know what I'm talking about. And then they'll come like to my website and maybe sign up for my coaching or buy like a guide or a course or whatever from me.
Let me go back because you said, I was watching Doctor Strange 2, and you said on your old YouTube channel, that's what you will be doing. After we finish this, I'll be finishing that and going to put a review of Doctor Strange 2 on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
But I'm curious because you are a leadership coach. You are you were a career coach. You kind of pivoted like you told me. So I'm interested in, when did you start your YouTube channel? And you said you're getting the thousands of views, and you're like, this isn't the route that I'm really in it. And then you pivoted to career. When was that, and why was that decision made?
Almost exactly, like almost to the day 1 year ago, I started that YouTube channel. And in January of this year, I got monetized. And so January to February, I had a pretty killer month, like all things considered, in terms of like ad revenue. But I have this personality where I'm like a code cracker. And it's like, when I get into something, I'm like, I want to crack the code. And I work like really, really, really hard to understand what it is, how to get good at it. And as long as I haven't cracked the code, I'm like super motivated and driven. I set all these goals and I'm disciplined, and I'm like, I attack it. But then when I crack it, I'm just like, it just fades away, and it's like, this is just a job. And so if I do think if I would have done all that with YouTube and it would have been a subject matter that I actually was passionate about and I wanted to talk about for the rest of my life, I probably would still be doing it. But dude, okay, so I was doing movie reviews and TV show reviews every so often, and I was getting like 300, 500 views per video, which is pretty good still for a new channel.
That's pretty good for a new channel.
And then Dexter came out. Do you watch Dexter?
No.
Okay, well,
it's on the list. Don't worry, it is on the list.
You got some homework. So I was a big Dexter fan when it was out like 10 years ago or whatever. And then Dexter just came back. And a buddy of mine who's a massive YouTuber with like 700,000 subs, he's like, dude, you love Dexter. You need to do recaps every episode and like theories. And man, that's
episode. Oh,
every episode, but it blew up. Like the first video after the first episode got like 3,000 views. I was like, this is good. Next one was like 9,000. Next one was like 20. And then it was like 20 to 30 to 50,000 views per every single week when a Dexter. And then I was milking it, of course. It's like, okay, I'll do a recap. And then like midway through the week, I'll do a theory video and get like another 20,000 views or whatever. So yeah, it became, the curtain had been drawn back. I knew how to draw clicks with thumbnails. I knew how to write titles. I knew how to do descriptions. I knew how to show up in search. I knew how to get audience retention, keep audience retention at least, I think my typical audience retention was like 58, 60%, which is pretty good. And so, yeah, I had figured it out. Not to say like I was making like, life-changing money.
Yeah, it just wasn't appealing to you anymore. You cracked the code and you were like, it became, instead of like a passion, it just became a job.
A job.
Like people were expecting you to do it literally almost every week.
Yep. And the other thing was like Dexter came on Sunday, generally came on like Sunday at like 8 p.m. or something like that. But they would release it Saturday night, Sunday morning at midnight. And so of course the YouTube game is I got to be first. So I'm up at, 11:30 or 11 or whatever. I get out of bed, I come in here, I sit down, I watch Dexter, and I'm taking like massive notes because I've got to recap the entire episode. And then I've got to record my video, and then I've got to edit my video, and then I've got to make a thumbnail. And I'm in here till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
That's a good 3 hours.
I sound like I'm complaining, but that's how it turned into it. It became like, I really don't want to do this. And then it's like wait a minute. Why am I? I don't have to do this. So yeah, that's the pivot. I have a very, very strong desire to retire very early. I'm 33. 40 would be cool. Realistically, I'd like to be retired at 45. And by retired, I mean just not working for an employer. I'll still be doing stuff to make money. I want to work for myself. But to do that, man, it's creating assets that make money for you while you sleep. And so that's the avenue I'm going down. I could see myself turning into like how to build an online business, how to make X 5 figures a month on Twitter or whatever. There's a lot of those people already, but obviously I can't do it because I don't have those credentials yet. But yeah, like building courses, guides, things like that you put out there, you advertise, and you go to bed and people read about it and they buy it while you're sleeping. That's the dream.
Leadership skill, like leadership coach, like how did you decide like that's the one, like this is the one? And then and then with that being said, how does it keep you does it keep you away from cracking the code?
Man, that's a good question. You know what's funny? When I do my own interviews and when I listen to interviews, I freaking hate when people say, that's a good question. And then I just, but the reason I say that was a good question is just yesterday, I was talking to a good friend of mine about that exact thing. I'm like, what if I do figure this out? What if like I'm doing pretty well on Twitter. Like I had like 20 followers the other day, and I'm about to hit 200, and this is taking like a week. That's pretty different. That doesn't normally happen on Twitter.
No, no, I'm on Twitter for 12 years, and I just got up to 500.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm setting my sights very high, but same thing. Like, okay, what if I do figure this out? There is a formula to viral tweets and getting exposure and stuff like that. And I think I will figure it out. But yeah, I had the fear, I guess, of what if I do crack the code of all this and I just burn out. I don't think it's going to happen, and here's why. As far back as I can remember, high school days, I wasn't like our team captain or whatever on the football team, but I had leadership attributes, and I've just always naturally been a leader. And so for the past several years at work, I've been in leadership positions, and it's just naturally, I always am drawn to being a leader, and I study the craft of leadership like crazy. I'm constantly reading, listening to podcasts, watching videos just to understand the craft of leadership. And so I truly think that is my passion. And that's why I think even if I crack the code of how to write online and how to gain an audience, I think because it aligns with the passion, I won't burn out. I could be wrong, but I'm hoping that's the case.
I got an interesting question because I had all these questions talking about how to land a fantastic job,
Hey, I can still help with that, man.
Hey, we're still going to talk about it, but I feel like so I'm changing the podcast episode just a little bit because we're talking about, you said leadership first, so we'll get into that stuff in a minute. But I was just at a leadership workshop, and this was for kids. They were like 10 and 11 years old, and there was like a leadership workshop and how to be a leader. And they're asking the kids how, what is a leader, how to be a leader, and what different type of things, whatever. And there's so many things that leadership and leaders can be under. What's your definition of a leader, and how can people apply that into their life?
It's like I'm in an interview.
Man, I'm a TV broadcaster. Okay. And so like I have to like get like, instead of just asking like wow, that was a cool, how did you get? No, I've got to dive deep into the story.
Yeah. Okay. So what is a leader? In my mind, a leader is someone that truly, you can't fake it. You truly care about the people that work for you or are under your guidance. I say all the time, I just said to my CIO at work the other day, and like this could have backfired majorly, but I said, I don't care about the work that we're doing here. I legitimately don't care. What I care about, and what I meant by that was I don't prioritize it. What I care about is the people. And if I can make this job, if I can make this workplace that they come to every day like an awesome experience, and that's hard to do because it's work, but I think I do a good job, and my people tell me I do a good job. But so if it's fun, or at least not painful, they're gonna work hard. And then all that other stuff, those projects we want to get done, the initiatives, the goals, all that junk, the products we want to get out the door, that stuff's just going to happen, and we're going to be great at it. But like for me as a leader, like I don't even pay attention to that mess. It's like, okay, cool. I'm glad that project's important. This person over here on my team, they're going to work on it. Cool. I don't need to know anything else about it. And then I focus on my people. What's going on in their lives? Are they, do they need anything from me? Of course, if they run into issues with specific projects or whatever, it is my job to go out and combat that for them and fight that for them. But at the end of the day, it's a people person, man. Like I have to care about them as human beings and care for them. And it goes beyond work. In my opinion, it should go beyond. Like it's not, I don't only care about them at work. I care about how are things going with their family? What things are you dealing with in your personal life? How can I help you? stuff like that. Applying it in their lives.
Yeah, like how can how can somebody apply that in their life? Not even just like the work spot, like you said, like outside.
There's this thing called an ego that prevents people from doing this. And honestly, it took me 10 years in the workforce to even understand this. But most people, especially if you're a driven person and you like want to succeed in the workplace or climb the corporate ladder or whatever, it's me. What can I do to look better? And you'll get some managers that like their team will do something good, then the manager will turn around and be like, look what I did. I had my team do this. Like, you have to throw your ego out the window. And it's not like a one time, like, okay, I'm not going to let my ego get in the way to like today or forever again. Like, it's constant. Your ego wants to get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to be fed. It's hungry. And that's a practice that like I don't think I can even tell you like do these 3 things to subordinate your ego. Like, it's probably different for everyone. The things that you make you feel accomplished, those are probably the things that feed your ego, and you've got to figure out a way to not be motivated by those things and instead elevate your people. You have to get your fulfillment out of seeing your people succeed. And then I'll give one tangible thing that you can actually take away from today that's not like just theory. If you're a leader and you manage a team of people, you should be having what's called one-on-ones with your people at some interval. Usually it's weekly or bi-weekly, maybe once a month. In those conversations, there should be 0 talk about work. Both of you are getting paid for being at work, but there should be 0 conversation about work. And it's hard if you're a manager and you're having one-on-ones today and the only thing you ever talk about in one-on-ones is what projects you got going on and like just give me all the updates on the things you're working on. It's really hard to transition. It's usually not like a hard cut like the next time you meet we're not no work. But those should be used for relationship building and deepening trust between the associate and the leader, because that trust is fundamental, foundational component to like having a good work experience. And that would be the number one step, is talk to them about their families, their hobbies, anything but work, please.
I'm as you're saying all that, I'm like thinking of my previous bosses and seeing how they had the one-on-ones with me and talked a little bit about work, but kind of figuring out how I'm doing versus one boss was like nothing but work. It didn't care about what I'm doing versus with my current boss is the same thing as the first boss. Talk a little bit about work and how I'm doing. So I'm seeing where the leadership skills are coming from, what you're saying. So I like that. And then also what you said something too that really piqued my interest, that you have to, even outside of the work, if you want to be considered a leader, you have to elevate your people.
Yep.
I thought that was like very powerful that you said that.
It's kind of a tagline that I inadvertently came up with the other day. The whole line is drop the work, elevate the people. And that goes back to the thing that I said, like, I don't care. I want us to be successful as a team, and I'm confident we will be successful as a team by getting our projects and all that stuff done. But it is not at all my priority.
Let me ask you this before we switch over to the next segment. But I want to use myself as an example. So I had a one-on-one with my boss 2 weeks ago, and she was asking me about the work and whatnot, and I just told her straight up, I don't care. Yep. I don't care about the work. The work doesn't really interest me. Like, I'm here, like I quit my TV news business job, TV reporting job, came over here. This is just a pit stop. I'm here I'm trying to get an esports position, trying to get a content creator position as well. But I'm just here right now. But my main purpose, in which I told you guys in the interview and when I got the job, I've been here for 5 months, that I just want to elevate the work. I seen the work that happened I've seen the videos that you guys created before I was here, and y'all hired me for a reason. I don't care about anything about just giving an adrenaline shot to the work. That's all I care about. And so when I said that, she understood that. She didn't like, "Oh wow, you're," and sometimes when I say that, I always feel like I'm arrogant. Does that make me arrogant, or does that make me feel like, or am I kind of like leading in a different way? Because I see the people that in my department, we have changed the way how we film, the way we edit, and then the way we, instead of just grabbing B-roll off of the webcam, off of the Google, we go
Yeah.
shoot it ourselves.
Yeah. No, I certainly wouldn't call that arrogance. That would be called candor. You're having candid conversations, and candor at work is hard to come by. So good job.
Thanks.
And good leaders, especially depending on like the level of the position in the like overall hierarchy, there's going to be certain spots that people, it's not a position that people are like, this is I'm going to do this forever. Like, and leaders just know that.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're a good leader, they know that. And if they're an amazing leader, they're going to ask you, okay, what is your next step and how do I help you get there? Some leaders won't do that. Some leaders won't proactively do that. But if you say to them, here's what I want to do on the next step of my career, and here's what I need from you to help me get there. Like, will you help me? Like, any decent leader will be like, yeah, absolutely, I'll help you. And there's a thing called an individual development plan, where you can come up with basically that whole talking point agenda by yourself. Say, this is me, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to be in the next 1 year, and here's where I want to be in the next 5. And I think in order to do that, I need this certification or this course or whatever. Can you help me? A lot of places have training budgets, especially if it like overlaps. It sounds like what you're doing does overlap with your long-term career goals anyway. And so if they pay for you to take a course and it actually helps you in your current job, usually they'll do it.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say you should do.
Well, speaking about careers, you, before you kind of pivoted over to leadership, you were helping people land their dream job and coming up with that fantastic resume and cover letter.
I still am, by the way. I said I pivoted, but I've got like 2 or 3 clients in the works right now in like 3rd rounds of interviews. So I'm still I'm pivoting, but it's still helping people with that.
But why come to you to figure out how to land a job when I feel like, not when I feel like, but when people feel like it's the pandemic, there's the great resignation. People are looking to hire people. Why should I come to you and get advice versus where I can just go in, get a couple of no's until I get a yes?
Well, a lot of people never get a yes. Those are the people that need help. There's a certain set of skills that you need to have to, I feel like I'm on the Taken move. I've got a certain set of skills. Anyway,
your voice, by the way, I can see that you really do like you keep people in your videos. You have a very like deep radio voice.
Perfect. Yes. But so you have to have there's an interview skill set. The entire skill set of like the resume is pretty important. And a lot of people have super basic resumes. That's not even necessarily a skill set. I mean, it kind of is, but okay. So I'll help you with your resume. Cool. That's like even step 1. Step 2, like there's probably some internal things that we need to work through. Like you have imposter syndrome. You don't have confidence. You don't even realize that the experience that you have means that you could probably frog leap over several people. You could probably move up 3 rungs in the ladder, but your own mind, like you're holding yourself back. So a lot of it's confidence building. It's improving. I work on their internal struggles to their external results or to get the external outcomes. And to but it's hard to sell people on that right there. Like if I say all that on a webpage, they're gonna be like, this dude's freaking weird. There's nothing wrong with me. So my sort of selling point is what I've done in my own career. And I was a college dropout. I didn't know why I was in school. My dad was paying for it, and didn't want to waste any more of his money. So I was like, I'll go back to school one day, Dad. I'm just gonna go get a job. So got a job as a teller, bank teller, making very close to minimum wage at the time. And I was 19. And so I didn't have any experience leading into that position. And I mean, quite honestly, didn't take it very seriously for quite a while, but I always tell people to excel in your career. It's not long-term, consistent, hard work. People always say like, just work hard and you'll get what you want. I hard disagree with the mindset of just every day, just work hard. Like everybody every day who has a job should be doing their job. Yes, you need to do your job. What makes you promotable and desirable by hiring managers is these little short bursts of super intense effort that gets incredible outcomes. Mm-hmm. So in every position I could point you to, in that position, I saw this thing that was like, why are we doing this? And on my own, I came up with this cool solution that made everything better for the whole team. And they're like, that was awesome. And then I take that into an interview and I get promoted. And then in the next one, I do it again. It's little short bursts of intense effort with awesome outcomes. So I did that. When I was in the banks, I worked through 5 or 6 different promotions, and eventually was like, same thing as the YouTube thing. Like, I don't like banking. This is not fun.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine changed my life and was like, you really like technology. Why wouldn't you go work in IT? I'm like, hadn't thought about it. So got super lucky on timing and got an entry-level IT job at the bank and did really well there. I had that job for 2 years. That's the longest, aside from the job I have right now, which is 3 years. That's the longest I've been in any position, was that entry-level IT job. And it was amazing. I tell everybody, if that job paid a whole lot more, I would do that for the rest of my life. It was so fun. As help desk. So people in the banks would call us and we'd help them over the phone. And then I got the level 2 position there. I got the level 3 position there. I became the supervisor there. I became the manager there. Then I moved to a high level IT position. And now I'm managing that team of the higher level systems administrators positions. So all my answers to your questions are really long, but the answer is I've done it. I've done it for the past 15 years. I know how to be promotable. And if you're not currently promotable, I think in about 30 to 90 days, I can help people do some things that is going to flip a switch and make them highly promotable.
What do you mean? I was watching your podcast, and I don't want to answer for you. I'd rather you answer, but what do you mean by that?
So there's kind of 2 ways to answer that. If you want to be promotable at your current workplace, I think that's actually closer to like the 30-day mark. I can come up with things in probably a 1-hour phone call, just talking through like, what are the biggest struggles in your workplace that you and your entire team face? And I can come up with 2 or 3 things that they can go back to work and start working on and just be super impressive to their bosses. And the next time a promotion comes up, they're going to be top of mind. Like it's that easy. And then for like, if I want to leave my current employer and I want to go to a different employer, or maybe I don't even like the field I'm in. Like I hate this work. I want to
You're talking to me right now. That's me right there. You're talking to me right there.
What most people, again, it comes back to your own mental limitations. You think, I want to go work in that field, but I have no experience. Why would anybody hire me? Every time I talk to somebody who says that, I'm like, all right, tell me about your job right now. What do you do in your job? Okay. Tell me about your last job and then your job before that. And then I'm like, okay, so you did this and that job, and then this and that job. All 3 of those things feed into and actually are experience for that over there. Or you can make it seem like it on a resume. That's the secret. People really don't know how to format a resume. It's like, if I want to pivot fields, you cannot use the same resume. It's the same jobs, but you have to tweak those responsibilities. Let me give you an example. When I was focused on, I thought I wanted to do like super high level technical work for the longest time. I didn't think I wanted to do leadership. Mm-hmm. And so I'd take my help desk experience and be like, okay, as a help desk technician, I fixed this many technical problems per month. I had this calls per hour. I had a 90% resolution rate. I'd highlight all of my technical accomplishments in that position. Well, then one day I realized I wanted to be in leadership. Same job, okay? Help desk technician. How do I be appealing to get into an entry-level supervisor position? Okay. So I was a top performer on the team. So I was often the lead. People would come to me. I would support the other help desk technicians with their work. I was the main resource for the team. I created documentation for the team. There was a time I was over lunch schedules. So my boss asked me to create the lunch schedules for the whole team. So you find little small responsibilities that you did that just align with the path you want to go on. And that's what you put on the resume. And then you do have the experience. It's like a magic wand. You're not lying. I'm clearly not saying that.
Yeah, no. I got you.
So that's it. And then when you go into the interview, somebody I'm working with right now. She's looking at another company, and it's a completely different field that she's not been in before. And we had this whole conversation. I said everything to her that I just said to you. We reworked the resume, and then it was the interview that was pivotal. I was like, you do have the experience. Quit it with the imposter syndrome. Give yourself the confidence. You've actually done all of the work for this job. You've actually done it in one way or another, whether it was a side hustle or at another job, you just kind of wanted to play around and tinker around in it, and they let you, and you did it, and you produced results. Like, you've done this and you can do it. So then it's going into the interview, and it's that confidence. It's a switch between, well, I've not really had a job where I've done this before, but I think I can. Like, you can't say that crap. What you say is, I've done this work before. I'm really good at it. I'm passionate about it. I haven't had the opportunity to do it for a really long time, but that's why I'm excited about this position, because I am good at it. And I think I bring a lot to the table, and I'm going to help your team succeed. Like, that's it.
So with your clients, do you figure out when you're talking to them, when you're consulting them, what do you figure out that they need? Do you is there like a step, like, okay, you're good at the interviewing part, but let's work on your resume, or let's work at your cover letter, or maybe your resume is dope, but your interviewing skills isn't? Like, how do you figure that out?
Everyone that I've worked with so far has had opportunity for improvement in everything. One dude at first he had like a garbage resume, and I completely reworked the resume and sent it to him. And then he's like, oh, I had this other one. And he sent it back to me. I'm like, dude, that resume's awesome. Why wouldn't? And he had believed these things you read online about like HR's automatic systems. They can't read your resume if it's formatted a weird way. And I was like, yeah, that's stupid. Just forget that. And then right before his interview, I got on a Discord call with him, and I asked him like 5 interview questions, just like really broad questions. And I was able, like, on every single question, they were fine. But the thing is, having interviewed hundreds, if not thousands of people myself, people don't realize how, they all blend together. If you don't say something that makes you unique, people are going to forget you. And so, with everyone, I've been able to come up with 1 or 2 things to help them actually stand out in an interview and be memorable. And then the follow-up's important. You said something about cover letters. I actually don't really care about cover letters. I don't ever write a cover letter myself.
Like, sometimes I kind of get deterred away from doing the job when I have to put the cover letter in, Because I
Yeah.
always feel like that's really not important. Like I have the resume, like I don't like I had the resume, but with my industry, like I've been told the resume doesn't really matter. Which again, this isn't for me. This is for everybody else who's watching and people who will be watching. But
Yeah.
what they care about more is the demo reel. They want to see my
Okay.
face. They want to hear my voice. They want to see, how I tell the story and whatnot. So I
Yeah.
kind of get deterred with the cover letter. But all these like positions I'm applying for now, they want to see because I'm now going from TV news to esports casting. They
Okay.
want to see cover letter and stuff like that. And
I
so
mean, they want to see it, or there's just a field to put it.
there's a field to put it.
Yeah, dude. Every job I've ever applied for, there's a field for it, and I don't ever do it.
So
But
when you don't do it, should you be nervous of like not getting the job, or is it like
I suppose there's the possibility that you're going to run into some hiring manager out there that's like, this guy didn't even put a cover letter. I'm not interviewing them. I've yet to run into them. Honestly, I'm the hiring manager. Like, I don't even care about the resume. I want to see you in the interview. Let's talk in the interview. People can look good on paper. That's what I realized. Like, somebody could work with me and look really good on paper, and then they get in an interview and they just fall apart. So in most organizations, if you submit an application, there's some filtering process that before it ever even gets to the manager, if you're not qualified, they just weed you out. You get an automated email like, sorry, you weren't qualified.
Yeah.
If your application makes it to the manager, from then on, it's just your interview performance. And probably in your industry, the demo reel or whatever you were talking about, that's probably important too. But that may even be part of the pre-screening. Like there may be some panel that looks at that before you're ever even considered. And they're just like, nah, we're not interested.
Yeah.
So more importantly than the cover letter is the follow-up after the fact. And a lot of people really don't know how to do that. First of all, at the end of an interview, never, ever, 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 ever ask them, when are you going to get back with me? Like, when can I hear from you? It drives me freaking crazy. And that could just be me, but I'm like, I'm interviewing like 30 people. Like, I'll get back to you when I get back to you. And if you get the opportunity to ask questions, that's literally the worst question you could possibly ask. Most interviews have two or three rounds of interviews. And if you get the opportunity to ask questions that give you ammo to come into the next interview, and when can I expect to hear from you is not one of them.
Well, what's the best question to ask?
So there's a few. I think some of the best questions to ask are, what does success look like to you in this position? Especially if you're going to get a second interview, because they're giving you the answer sheet. It's like, okay, remember every single thing that they said. How have you demonstrated that before? And how can you do that in this position? That's a really good one. Another one is, what's the biggest struggle facing your team today? And if you're real quick on your feet, you can be like, oh, I've dealt with that before and I did blah, blah, and blah to fix it. If you're not super quick on your feet, just remember that for the next interview and be like, you told me that this was a challenge and I've really been thinking about it. And here's how I would tackle that challenge. Those are two really good ones. And then the ace up the sleeve, man. Have you ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People?
No.
That book's from like 1920 something. And to this day, that book has crazy, crazy good value. And one of the big takeaways is people remember, this is so stupid, but it's so true. People remember you when you get them to talk about themselves. Okay. So if you're in an interview, it's like, do you have any questions for us? Yeah. What's your career path at this company looked like? And they start talking. They're creating memories, talking about themselves, looking at your face. After the fact, they're going to remember you because they talked more. It's so weird, but it's true.
I like that.
Get them to talk about themselves. What do you like about working here? Stuff like that. You're going to be more memorable.
So make yourself memorable. If anything that anybody can remember from this whole episode to land their dream job in leadership, well, one, elevate the people.
Really?
Two, don't ask me when you're gonna get back with me. Make that number one. But the third thing for anybody to remember is make yourself memorable if you want to land that dream job.
How do you make yourself memorable?
How do I make myself memorable?
Yeah.
I always ask questions. That's my thing. Like I ask questions, and then when people ask me a question, I'll answer the question, but I'll give them an example. Like
Yeah.
I remember getting the job because I came from TV news, and what I'm doing now, I'm a video journalist for HBCU in South Carolina. And they're like, well, how would you tell this story and make it visually appealing? Well, I say, well, I seen some of your videos and you just had pictures and screenshots versus I could, you deal with minority farmers. I can go with the camera and get on close to the farmer's face with the sun beaming on his face, and you got the sun, the sweat dripping and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I always give examples, and then I always ask, them questions, and if they want to ask me anything else, and that's pretty much it. I don't just answer the question and just sit there.
I really liked what you just said about the going out and filming. Storytelling is a great way to be memorable.
Mm-hmm.
The key to being memorable is identifying your uniqueness.
Mm-hmm.
And because again, they're interviewing a whole bunch of people with probably pretty similar backgrounds. And so like everyone's coming in with, I've done this type of work before and I could do it here. But what is it that makes you unique? What uniquely qualifies you and makes you stand out above the crowd? And that's going to make you memorable.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, as we're wrapping up, how can people find you? How can people get your service? I mean, because you helped me a lot. The one thing that I've learned today in the 40 minutes we talked, fuck the imposter syndrome that I had with the trying to get these esports businesses.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna even though like in content creating, even though it's like you gotta have so many whatever, fuck that. I'm applying. Like
absolutely.
You've just sparked a fire in me. And then the second thing is what I've learned from you, what I am interested in learning from you is cracking the code to getting the YouTube, like the whole reviews and the stuff like that. I would like to learn more about that, but that's just a me thing. For everybody else, how can people connect with you to get some of their services? Because in the 40 minutes I talked, you helped me out a lot.
Cool. Yeah, it's unfortunate timing. I don't have the website that I did have was focused on career stuff and not leadership stuff. So I have a website in the works. The best place to find me right now is Twitter, at, I hate this stupid Twitter name, @_Anthony Disney. Somebody took Anthony Disney from me. So
it was probably, I'm just kidding.
I'll let you put that maybe in your show notes or whatever.
I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
Okay. And I am on LinkedIn, not as active over there anymore. But yeah, Anthony Disney on LinkedIn. But yeah, I'll have a site up soonish. Yeah, I'd say Twitter would be it.
And the last thing is one more quick question that I wanted to ask you before we wrap up. I'm trying to make this really, really well said, but LinkedIn, because you said LinkedIn, and I feel like LinkedIn is like it's
I love
good.
Where you're going. Let's go.
I'm trying to be I'm not trying to bash LinkedIn, so that's why I'm trying to. You know what? Screw it.
Bash it.
That's why I said, you know what? Screw it. I personally, when I get on LinkedIn, I just see a bunch of people ranting like it's Facebook, but I've never like really see success from Facebook that people that I know of and myself versus people actually going out and applying for the jobs. But I always hear people like, go to LinkedIn, reach me out on LinkedIn, come talk to them. I personally don't see it. Is LinkedIn even worth it for somebody to land their dream job?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If your focus is on like corporate America, corporate ladder climbing, there's no better place. And you need to start like now. You need to get on there. You need to get a good headshot, a good banner, it's a buzzword right now, but a personal brand. You need to create a personal brand. You need to be posting consistently. And what that does is when you have a resume on your resume, you're going to have a link to your LinkedIn profile. A hiring manager is going to go to your LinkedIn profile and they're going to see an activity feed. Oh man, look what this guy talks about all the time, and is going to see your approach to whatever it is that, you know, in your field. You should be establishing yourself as a thought leader as much as you possibly can. And yeah, there's no better place. And beyond that, there are creators have, I'm trying to think of the best word. It's like almost a cheat code. LinkedIn's kind of broken in the sense that creators are going over there and just blowing up. Did you know Mr. Beast is on LinkedIn?
I did.
Okay, so there's a lot of creators that have started going to LinkedIn and growing massive audiences. And here, from the creator perspective, there is no better place to monetize your audience, because the average salary of active LinkedIn users is over 6 figures. So depending on what niche you're in, man, you can monetize on LinkedIn like crazy with a relatively small audience.
I mean, you changed my mind. I'm not saying you fully changed my mind. I personally hate LinkedIn. I used to absolutely despise it. I just didn't even use it. I just had it just, you know, because it's the norm. Everybody's supposed to have it. Everybody's supposed to have it. So I had it. And it wasn't until like a couple months ago, when I started content creating, I really started using it. I started posting on it. And you're like, I can give you the best example. Chica, official Chica with Ritual Motion.
Yeah.
She's on there like crazy. And she was telling me about it. And my sister, I'll post our podcast, a snippet of our podcast on LinkedIn, and she'll be like, put it on LinkedIn. I'll put it on YouTube. She'll like, put it on Twitter, put it on LinkedIn. So now I'm on LinkedIn and putting that stuff on there, and I'm seeing people actually looking at it, and I see these users from different companies looking at it. So I just kind of wanted to see where your mind was at about it, and should I continue hating it or grow to love it?
There's no reason to hate it. I think it's an exceptional platform for creators. It's still, people are still sleeping on it, and for somebody like me, it got a little bit awkward because like 90% of my followers that I'm connected with are people that I work with. So I can't be too like, what's the word? I can't put stuff on there that's like too out there and like,
yeah,
you know, it's going to make me look bad at work or whatever. And that's kind of why I pivoted to Twitter, because nobody at work follows me on Twitter. But yeah, so I think if you start connecting with people in your space, whatever your niche is, there's people out there already on LinkedIn, and you start engaging with their content, and their people are going to see you, and then they're going to come follow you, and you can build a good following. I mean, it depends on what your goals are. If your ultimate goal is to funnel them over to YouTube, then yeah, you can certainly gain a following on LinkedIn and then start plugging your YouTube channel. It's a very powerful tool, man.
Well, that's helpful for me. I do want to ask. I said what I always do this in interviews.
1 more questions.
I always do this in interviews, and I'm like, I'm sorry for taking up your time. One more, because I just get really excited. Like, broadcasting gets me levitating. But this is for real. This is my last question. Because you keep for real this time. Because you keep spitting these gems. But one, I want to know, as a hiring manager, do you hate getting emails or DMs from people looking to get a job from you, or should people, you know, put in the job application and then also be like, hey, dear hiring manager, I applied for this position, blah, blah, blah. Should, you know, is that looked upon or frowned upon, or should do that?
It's literally never happened. Nobody's ever DM'd me or emailed me about a job that I have posted. I even, for the first time ever, I was having trouble filling a position, and so we put it on LinkedIn, and I posted about the fact that I'm hiring for it, and not a single person messaged me about it.
But would you want somebody to
I have
You
no
want
problem
somebody
with it.
that you have. Why is that?
To me, it shows initiative. I think it's probably a good thing. Um, Something simple,
Mhm.
don't be over the top. Something like, hey, Anthony, I saw your position. I wanted to let you know I put my application in for it, and I'm
Mhm.
super excited to talk about it. I think this is the best next step in my career. I look forward to talking to you. Something like that. That's perfect.
But I'm good now. I don't have any other questions. I think you just literally nailed everything starting
Let
today.
I'm gonna finish that answer with a story
Okay.
about somebody. One of my clients is actually a family member, but um, family member of mine graduated college, couldn't get a job, and he's like, I'm so frustrated. I keep applying. It's like I'm throwing my application into a black hole. I never hear anything.
Mhm.
I don't get declines. They don't call me. I don't know what to do. So I said, are you reaching out to anybody? He's like, who would I reach out to? I'm like, get on LinkedIn, find the people in the decision making positions and message them. Like, it's that easy. Or call the office. Like, you have to take ownership. Like, you can't just feel like, oh, things aren't happening for me. Like, take ownership of your stuff. And so I got him to reach out to that hiring manager. He got an interview and he just got the job last week. And because he kept saying, he's like, if I just get in the interview, I know I'll get the job. And I'm like the confidence, but I'm,
Mhm.
not so sure. But I mean, it's true. He got an interview and they were like, we're going to do a second interview. And they ended up calling him and like, we don't need a second interview. We like you. We're going to hire you. So I guess he was right about that.
That's how I always feel. Like every time I get the interview, I nail the interview. I just
Yeah.
got to get the interview. Like every job I've already interviewed, I've always gotten the job. But I'm like, but the jobs that I really
Yeah.
want, I can't get, or I can't get a phone call. I can't get it. And it's just like, I don't take the initiative to call or email. I always feel like, why is this guy bothering me? I got
No,
so
man,
many
it's
other things to
so
do. Why
yeah,
is
it's actually the opposite thing. The more we're talking about this, like you should be doing that. If you actually know who the hiring manager is when you apply at a company, you absolutely should reach out. 100%. And again, take it easy, just like you're dating. Like don't go hard. Like
Mhm.
take it easy. Um, because they're gonna remember you. You're gonna go into the interview and they're already gonna know who you are. Um, and it's gonna be awesome.
I got
So
a lot of hiring managers I got to email tomorrow.
heck yeah. Email the people that don't even have jobs. Like, I
Mhm.
want to work at this company and I want to work on this team and I know who it is. I'm email. Like, you should be blasting these messages everywhere. If you've got like 10 companies you want to work at,
Mhm.
you express your passions and your desires to work for them, and don't like go super into detail, but something like, I know I can bring a lot to the table and help you guys succeed. If you ever have anything, please let me know. That's it. Like, just do that.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you so much for taking the time and helping us become better leaders in landing that dream job. Man, you've light a fire under my ass. I will tell you that.
I'm glad to hear it.
You say you've been doing this for 15 years. It shows.
Awesome.
It is well. First of all, I want to thank Ritual Motion for allowing us to do this.
Yep.
Uh, Great content. Thank you so much for taking the time out and doing this. Is there anything else that you want to add that I maybe failing to ask you?
That was
You
another question, by the way.
Hey,
Just kidding.
that's so every reporter is supposed to ask that, but a lot
Okay.
of them don't do that. But that's just to like because the interviewee has so much to say and they always forget. And so you're like, is there anything else you want to add that I'm feeling to ask you? Like, oh yeah, I want to, shout out my mom, this people, whatever, whatever. So is there anything else you want to add that
Shout out my mom.
I'm
Let's see. Anything else I want to say? Yeah, it's gonna get like a little bit cheesy probably, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it's the truth and it's where I try to live in my headspace. I've got this quote over here that says discipline equals freedom, but I used to have a quote which is over here now and only I can see it.
Mhm.
You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. That's a Marcus Aurelius quote. And a lot of people can think like that's a weird way to think, but just don't take things too seriously. Like, you're gonna be gone one day and none of this is going to matter. So like, don't take it all so seriously. Have some fun with your life. That's Marcus Aurelius. So whatever, whatever time frame he's from, I guess that was the way you said YOLO. But it's the truth, man. Like, life's too short, life's too precious. Find your passion. That's like key to your fulfillment in your life. Quit chasing happiness, chase fulfillment. And the way you get fulfillment is doing something that aligns with your passions. Find your passion, know what you are supposed to be doing with your life, and go do it.